Lion Air Flight 610 was a scheduled domestic passenger flight from Jakarta's Soekarno-Hatta International Airport to Pangkal, Penang's Depati Amir Airport. The Boeing 737 MAX operating the route crashed into the Java Sea 13 minutes after takeoff on October 29, 2018, killing all 189 passengers and crew. It was the first major accident involving the new 737 MAX series of aircraft, which was introduced in 2017, and it had the highest death toll of any accident or incident involving a 737 series aircraft, surpassing the death toll of Air India Express Flight 812 in 2010. Let's start the video and try to figure out what actually might have happened. A Boeing 737 MAX 8, registration Papa Kilo Lima Quebec Papa, line number 7058, was involved, powered by two CFM International LEAP engines. China Minsheng Investment Group Aviation Capital leased the aircraft. It took its maiden flight on July 30, 2018, and was delivered to New Lion Air on August 13, 2018. The aircraft had flown approximately 800 hours in service at the time of the accident. This was the first accident involving a 737 MAX since the model's introduction on May 22, 2017, and the deadliest involving a Boeing 737. Captain Bhave Suneja, an Indian national who had flown with the airline for more than 7 years and had approximately 6,000 hours of flight experience, and Indonesian co-pilot Harvino, who had 5,100 hours of flight experience, 4,200 of which were on the Boeing 737. 6 of the flight attendants were Indonesian. The plane took off from Jakarta at 6:20 a.m. local time on October 29, 2018, and was scheduled to land at Depati Amir Airport in Pangkal, Pinang at 7:20 a.m. It took off westward before circling around to the northeast, where it crashed off the coast of Jakarta in waters estimated to be up to 35 meters deep. The flight crew had requested permission to return to Jakarta Airport 35 kilometers into the flight. The accident occurred 34 kilometers off the coast of Java. At 6:33 a.m., communication between air traffic control and Flight 610 was suddenly lost. The National Search and Rescue Agency was notified, and 3 ships and a helicopter were dispatched to the area. The agency received reports that Flight 610 had crashed a few kilometers from an offshore oil platform at 7:30 a.m. The aircraft reportedly crashed with a steep nose-down angle, according to workers on the platform. Boats from the platform were immediately launched, and debris from the crashed plane was discovered shortly thereafter. On board the plane were 189 people, 181 passengers, 6 cabin crew, and 2 pilots. On board, all 189 passengers and crew members were killed. There were 187 Indonesians on board, 1 Italian passenger, and 1 Indian crew member, 20 Ministry of Finance employees, 10 Audit Board of Indonesia employees, 2 Finance and Development Inspection Agency auditors, 3 Ministry of Energy and Mineral Resources employees, 3 public attorneys, 3 Indonesian National Police officers, 6 Bangka Belitung Regional People's Representative Council members, and 3 Indonesian High Court and National Court judges were among the passengers. On October 29th, Indonesia's Transportation Ministry directed all domestic airlines to conduct emergency inspections on their 737 MAX 8 planes. The ministry would also conduct a special audit of Lion Air to determine whether there were any issues with its management system. The Transportation Ministry announced on October 31st that all Indonesian Boeing 737 MAX 8 aircraft were airworthy and could resume normal operations. A spokesperson for Barsanas confirmed to reporters that the plane had crashed. Muhammad Siaugi, the head of Barsanas, later confirmed the deaths but did not specify how many. The Transportation Ministry established crisis operations centers in Jakarta and Pangkal, Pinang. Lion Air provided free flights to Jakarta for the victims' families. On October 30th, more than 90 relatives were flown to Jakarta to help identify the victims. Lion Air CEO Edward Surate stated that relatives would be accommodated, and later added that relatives should go to Halim Perdana Kusuma International Airport for more information. The Indonesian National Police announced that a trauma healing team would be assembled for the victims' families. The National Search and Rescue Agency of Indonesia launched a search and rescue operation assisted by the Indonesian Air Force, the Indonesian Navy, and the Republic of Singapore Navy. Basarnas sent about 150 people to the accident site in boats and helicopters. Civilian vessels also responded to reports of a downed aircraft, and the crew of a tugboat reported to Tanjung Priok authorities at 6:45 that they had witnessed an aircraft crash and found debris in the water at 7:15 a.m. The research ship Barunajaya, which had previously been used in the search for Adam Air Flight 574 and Indonesia AirAsia Flight 8501, was deployed by the Indonesian Agency for Assessment and Application of Technology. On October 29th, Basarnas Director of Operations stated that all on board were presumed dead and that the first human remains had been discovered. Divers had discovered fuselage fragments and other debris, but had yet to locate the onboard flight recorders. Air Marshal Muhammad Siaugi, the head of Basarnas, suggested that the majority of victims were still inside the fuselage, as rescue personnel only recovered a small number of body parts in the days following the crash. The search and rescue effort was hampered by poor underwater visibility and a strong sea current. The Lion Air flight recorders were recovered with the help of Singapore's Transport Safety Investigation Bureau, which dispatched 3 specialists and an underwater locator beacon detector on October 29, 2018. The Australian Transport Safety Bureau dispatched 2 personnel to assist the Indonesian National Transportation Safety Committee with the FDR download. An early draft of the NTSC report was leaked in August of 2019. The widely circulated report blamed design and oversight flaws for the Lion Air Flight 610 crash, as well as pilot and maintenance errors as causal factors among 100 elements of the crash chronology, without ranking them. Lion Air objected because NTSC's draft, according to a source who requested anonymity, attributed 25 of the 41 lapses discovered to Lion Air. On October 31st, a Boeing technician and engineering team, as well as a team from the U.S. National Transportation Safety Board, arrived to assist with the NTSC's investigation. The U.S. Federal Aviation Administration and engine manufacturer GE Aviation also sent personnel to Indonesia. A Singaporean team, which had already arrived on the night of October 29th, was to assist in recovering the aircraft's flight recorders. The Australian Transport Safety Bureau dispatched 2 personnel to assist with the FDR download process. The night before the crash, the plane flew from Ngurah Rai International Airport in Bali to Soekarno-Hatta International Airport in Jakarta. According to detailed reports from that flight, the plane was involved in a serious incident that left many passengers traumatized. Passengers in the cabin reported heavy shaking and a strong odor of burnt rubber. The aircraft had dropped more than 61 meters in a matter of seconds at one point. From takeoff to landing, the seatbelt sign was never turned off. According to a recording of air traffic control communications, the pilot requested a pan-pan. The crew later decided to cancel the pan-pan flight and continue on to Jakarta. Passengers said the plane had an engine problem and they were told not to board while engineers worked to fix it. While en route to Jakarta, the plane struggled to maintain a constant altitude, with passengers describing the experience as a roller coaster ride. Lion Air's CEO, Edward Serrate, stated that the aircraft had a technical issue on Sunday night, but that it had been addressed in accordance with the manufacturer's maintenance manuals. On the morning of the accident, engineers declared that the aircraft was ready for takeoff. Later, it was revealed that a third pilot was on the flight to Jakarta and instructed the crew to turn off the electrical power to the stabilizer trim motors. Flight 610's altitude and airspeed were found to be abnormal, according to aviation experts. Only 3 minutes into the flight, the captain requested permission from the controller to return to the airport due to flight control issues. Data transmitted automatically by the aircraft showed that it descended to about 1,500 meters about 8 minutes into the flight, but its altitude continued to fluctuate. The average value of the airspeed data transmitted by Flight 610 was around 300 knots, which experts thought was unusual because aircraft at altitudes less than 3,000 meters are typically limited to an airspeed of 250 knots. The data showed that the aircraft had dropped by more than 910 meters 10 minutes into the flight. On January 14, 2019, the cockpit voice recorder was discovered. The NTSC announced on January 21, 2019 that it would not release the transcript from the cockpit voice recorder until the final report was released. Following the crash of Ethiopian Airlines Flight 302 on March 10, 2019, data from the CVR of Lion Air Flight 610 were shared among the investigators. Media, citing anonymous sources, reported that the CVR recorded the pilots mentioning several problems attempting to climb and consulting the Quick Reference Handbook for a solution. The CFM LEAP engines used on the 737 MAX have a higher bypass ratio and larger nacelle than previous Boeing 737 models, necessitating their placement further forward and upwards on the wing. Due to a change in aerodynamics, this destabilizes the aircraft pitch at high angles of attack. Thank you for stopping by to watch. Please subscribe to the channel and post your video recommendations in the comments area if you'd like us to do more films like this.